really natural and fun. I'm glad that we're trying live, and it just feels like a good fit for the Versus series.
Yeah, especially so during preview season in the past, you know, we usually film roughly 5 or 6 days in advance of when the video actually goes up. And when you're in the midst of preview season, sometimes there's like 10, 15 more cards that can be entered in your deck at any given time, and then your deck just looks old and bad. Now, this video could be invalidated tomorrow, for all we know, based on what could come out. But this is what we have today. This is what we're experimenting with today, and it feels awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And for our last video for the day, we are just getting in the mud. Just a mid-range mirror. Both decks have card advantage and trying to control, and I'm excited to play it out just because this is the gentleman's sport that I enjoy. Just the fine kill your thing, play your thing. I don't like the big draw a million cards. I don't like Teferi Search for Santa.
Who doesn't like drawing a million cards?
I mean, one at a time, right?
Okay.
Like
Teferi draws them one at a time.
That's true. I mean, I played Teferi Search for Santa a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of my opponents are like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, look, I don't enjoy this either.
Yeah.
I am not having fun.
These are the tools they gave me, dude.
Yeah, this is what I have to do. This is what my team wanted me to do.
So earlier someone mentioned the card Muldrotha. I have heard you have a Muldrotha in your deck.
Yes. And I wrote about this today, so check it out on Star City Games. A lot of people were like, look at Assassin's Trophy. Well, don't give someone a land, or he can kill anything. And one of the things I approached in my article is that the way to make sure your Assassin's Trophies are good is, I guess I shouldn't be giving it away, but
yes, you should. That's your job.
I know. The way to make it good in your deck is to make sure that you have powerful effects to catch you up. For example, if you kill something in the mid game and that gives them extra mana, they still might not want to tap out for a big effect because you might Eldritch Reborn that turn.
Right.
And it's things like that. But also, you want to make sure your deck has cards that not only force the opponent to play their Assassin's Trophies, but punish them for doing so. Right. And so big effects are going to be very important in this format. And Muldrotha is one of the best, in my opinion, because not only does it come down and immediately get card advantage if you have a bunch of lands available, but it works really well with a card that I think is going to be good in Standard, which is the Eldritch Reborn. Mm-hmm. Just bringing it back immediately and then casting the Eldritch Reborn before your opponent even has a chance to interact with Muldrotha.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, going big is going to be important if a lot of decks use Assassin's Trophy as their main form of removal, because you need to be able to do something with that extra mana. That's why earlier when we were talking about mono red, like the Runaway Steamkin I was talking about, mana sinks are going to be good. Ways to use excess mana are going to be good, just because you need ways to fight through that efficient removal spell. Yeah, but it's also, you're going to need to cast it early sometimes. Like, you can't sometimes if your hand's slow, you're not going to be able to let your opponent have an Argo's Bloodfast all game. But later in the game, Argo's Bloodfast is really good because of the additional resources you get. So it's like Magic, and the reason we play it, we never know really how things are going to play out. We just learn as we go, and things will evolve. But for now, I'm just trying to cast a lot of big effects, a lot of ways to get to them naturally, but also if I ever get a boost, I'm going to be able to punish my opponent with those effects, and I think your deck does the same thing. Yep. And we're just going to get into the thick of it right now. So let's roll up to see who wins the first live versus video of all time. All right, I got 5. Playing the 7-11 game, obviously. Ooh, all right. 11. I'll be on the play.
Not as bad.
Okay. All right. My deck's sweet. My hand's sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this hand, even though we definitely need lands.
All right. One card Brad was talking a bit about is the Eldritch Reborn, and it's something that I thought about incorporating into this deck, and I very likely should have some in the sideboard at the very least, just as a big trump card in these grindy Black X mirrors.
I am going to Thought Erasure you.
That's pretty good. Nicol Bolas or Spitflame.
Oh, it's just... well, I think I'm going to take the Nicol Bolas, and you have Fire.
Shivan Fire, Lightning Strike, Spitflame.
Strike, and Spitflame. All right, and then I'm going to look at the top
Surveil.
Card. Surveil. I don't think I want this, so we're going to put another one.
All right, your turn. It's possible my deck has way too much removal in it, but I think it'll come in handy over time. And mostly we just want to clear the way for
Elvish
War Boss.
Rejuvenator.
You're going to have to tell me what it does
I look at the top 5 cards.
before you look.
Look at the top 5 cards in my library, and I can put a land tapped on the battlefield.
Okay, that's fine.
I will get a Hinterland Harbor.
All right, go.
In random order.
Random order, yeah. It's fine. You're good.
All right, attack.
Yeah, 19.
All right, and then I'm going to play a Jade Light Ranger.
I will Essence Scatter that.
Ooh.
Here, I'll tap it like this.
Water Grave Tap. Your turn.
Don't think I want to start burning my removal on a 1/1. That card seems kind of annoying.
Spitfire can only target creatures,
Your
right?
turn. Yes. If it could target players, it'd be...
Or planeswalkers.
Right. I wish it could target planeswalkers. 18 me.
Vraska.
Yikes.
Yeah, this card is good. Everyone forgot about Vraska because there was the Scarab Gods and the Hazarets and...
No, Vraska is very good. I will
this
give
card
you that.
is absurd.
I don't think I can beat it, but we'll see.
No one's going to be able to beat it. Your turn.
All right, we'll Shivan Fire the Pirate and draw a card. I will play a Dragon's Horde and say go.
All right. Whew. Oh, attack.
Yeah, 17.
Make another menace
Yep.
creature.
Yep.
And
I love how Vraska has just single-handedly won you like multiple games in this video so far.
It's so good.
All right, I will Spitflame the Pirate.
I like this sequence.
All right, go. I just want to read this real quick. We're in your draw step, just in case. My life total becomes 1 in your draw step. I'm gonna bounce it.
All right.
I don't think I can go to 1. Maybe I should go to 1, but we're gonna Severe 4.
Oh yeah.
Second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's a good one. All right, so this definitely goes to the graveyard. This can go to the graveyard. And then, do I want these 2 threats? I think I do. Maybe just the 1 threat. He's almost assuredly just going to play Vraska and minus on this. So we need to... I mean, he knows I have Lightning Strike, though, so if he has a different play, he may do that instead. So let's put Legion Warboss in the graveyard and leave this one on top.
All right, so there's 1 card on top, Lightning Strike in hand, and something else.
Yep.
So what I don't want to start happening this game is for Todd to gain a bunch of card advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the only ways I can think of it is through the Dragon's Horde.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Dragon's Horde? Okay. So we're going to start with Eldest Reborn.
Okie doke.
And make you sack that. And then I'm going to shock down to 18. Attack for 1.
Yep. 16.
And I'm going to Assassin's Trophy that. And make you shuffle.
Is it a must?
It's May.
It's May. Okay. So basically, next turn he gets to bring back Nicol Bolas or Dream Eater with the Eldest Reborn.
No, not next turn. It's a discard.
Oh,
the third. The third is
okay.
the actual ability.
I think I will want the land though. So the top card is a big threat, but it's not going to do that much.
If you on the first time casting this in a midrange bear didn't go get a land, I was going to die laughing.
Yeah. Well, then, after surveilling 4, like the if I had like 2 good cards on top, I might have kept. But...
I know.
All right, if we draw a Nicol Bolas here, we can get back 2 Spit Flames, which is kind of cool.
You have 2 in there?
Yeah, I milled 1 with a surveil.
Mm-hmm. That is actually
all right. Draw. That's unfortunate. So I'm gonna discard this. Yeah. So we'll just play another Dragon's Horde and say go.
All right. Draw trigger.
Yep. I'll discard Steam Vince.
All right. Attack you to 15.
Yep.
Play Vraska.
Yep.
And
we're gonna have a lot more answers to Vraska after game 1. Game 1 we're more focused on removal. So.
Also, Todd, don't forget the land comes in untapped from Assassin's Trophy.
Oh.
It wouldn't have mattered.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
it comes in untapped.
Cool.
And it can only target your opponent's stuff.
Yeah.
Also, on the Dream Eater, you surveil first, then choose the target. It's few people mention that.
Oh, sure.
Sure.
You do, yeah.
I guess it's like 2 separate effects. One's based on the other one. Okay.
You really choose a... Oh,
So
we can't read it?
No, it says when Dream Eater enters the battlefield, surveil 4. When you do, you may return target non-land permanent to then opponent controls to the owner's hand. So, all right. So I have this lightning strike. I think I'm just gonna wait. Whoop. Okay. Go. Eldritch Reborn's very good. Vraska is very good.
Stay in draw step. Go to main.
Yeah.
Can I see your graveyard?
Yeah, you get Nicol Bolas or Dream Eater or Legion War Boss.
Can I return any permanent?
Read your card. I don't know.
No.
Oh, no. Dream Eater's non-land, so you could bounce just my Dragon's Horde.
An opponent controls.
Yes.
You can just lightning strike that. I'll just take the Nikki.
All right, I will lightning strike this.
All right, and then that's gone.
Yep.
Okay. Attack for 1.
I'm at 14.
I'll play another Rejuvenator.
Yep.
5. Oh wow, a brick.
The fact that these don't go into the graveyard makes me kind of unhappy. Yep. Do this for you. Go ahead and get this.
Sure.
Down.
And your go.
Yeah, I bet. All right, we're here for sideboarding, and from my side of things, we are making pretty drastic changes. Our spot removal is not really dedicated for this matchup, but we need this mass density of removal early on in order to compete with things like Boros, Goblins, any aggressive deck that's very low to the ground. And since we don't know the texture of the format yet, this is kind of just the placeholder for the type of removal that I'll be wanting to play. We're going to be bringing in some heavy hitters here. Route is at Viceroy as a way to generate some card advantage, either by drawing a card and ticking up, or maybe by minusing and taking care of an early creature from Brad. Angard the Flame Chain very similarly can sometimes kill a creature, but usually it's going to make Brad discard cards and lose life. Negate, Ionize, both great at stopping some of his more expensive stuff, although there's a good chance Negate should just be Disdainful Stroke, but against black decks, having Negate to protect your hand from duress I think is also pretty important, so there's arguments to be made for both. And then, of course, we do have a couple copies of Thought Erasure, the new discard effect that lets you surveil one that Brad cast us against us game 1.
All right, so sadly, Muldrotha is more of a green mirrorish card because the games are going to go long, and this is the kind of matchup I'm going to want Carnage Tyrant. Now, I really do feel like I talk so much about this card that it should just be in my deck.
I mean, it's great. It's just a great card. I mean,
but is it better than Vraska or Carnage Tyrant?
I mean, it's probably better than Muldrotha. Oh, you mean Carnage Tyrant versus Muldrotha?
That's what I'm saying for this matchup. I'm pretty sure that...
Honestly, I would love if you just had it in your deck over Carnage Tyrant so we can play a real game of Magic. Because I'm sick of you just casting a 6-mana Mythic and just beating me to death with it.
What if I keep one in?
Well, I assumed you would have one in. I assumed you would have both in. But you do you, baby. Maybe you won't draw it. Who knows?
I'll do this.
Sure.
Wait, no, yeah. That stays, right?
7? Yes, Muldrotha stays.
All right, I'll do that.
Let's shuffle up and get ready for game 2. And now's a good time to field a question.
Yep. Actually, a question from Jared Ferris 87. Brad, why no Search for Escanta?
Well, so Search for Escanta might be good in this deck, but I feel like Field of Ruin is going to be highly played, and this is the kind of deck that needs to get deeper in and mid-range, but that could be a good option. I just think that it's important to put creatures into play, like Merfolk Branchwalker, and I'm trying out the Elvish Rejuvenators. I don't know if they're any good, but getting to 5 mana right away does seem great.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a deck that can use the ramp effect from Search for Escanta pretty well, which I like. But, as far as, like, activating a lot of your cards, like, you have Ravenous Chupacabra, for example, like, your spells are not necessarily instant or sorcery based. A lot of them are creature based that have these abilities tacked onto them that do a spell like effect, and that could ultimately make you miss on Search for Escanta too, which is
that's actually the best answer. It's
also,
not going to be
Todd, why no Vraska's Contempt?
So my deck is very low on actual black cards. I'm more of a red removal based deck that's kind of splashing for these like late game heavy hitters like Nicol Bolas the Ravager, Dream Eater, and then the Doom Whisperer, the new one. And these cards are pretty like heavy on the color requirements. But once you get late in the game, you can find a Dragon's Horde, or you're able to find the double color you need. Double black is actually not easy for us. We have I think 14 black sources, as well as the Dragon's Horde, so it might be easier than I think. But I also think Vraska's Contempt lost a lot of value with Torrential Gearhulk leaving the format. And I wanted my removal to be mostly cheap things. But obviously, this is just the first rough draft of the deck, and Vraska's Contempt could make it into the deck. I just have to change the mana.
All right, I'll give you the free roll. I'm mulliganing on the draw already.
All right.
Also, why the Dragon Swords?
So Dragon's Horde is a way for us to use our mana pretty efficiently, while also giving us extra value with our Nicol Boluses. Basically, whenever we cast Nicol Bolas, we get to also draw a card. And we're planning for a longer game. It also works really well with the card we cited out, actually. Shiv and Fire. It's just on turn 3, sometimes you can go Shiv and Fire plus, Dragon's Horde plus Shiv and Fire. Sometimes on turn 4, you can go Dragon's Horde plus Hold Up, Negate, Essence Scatter, or play a 2-mana removal spell. So mostly it's there as a mana rock that can sometimes gain additional value. And I just wanted to try it out, since I don't think our mana is perfect by any means. My hand's great, by the way. Perfect mana.
I'm
all that.
I'm gonna bottom.
All right, go. Now, I did consider playing. What's the dragon from M19 that makes your opponent sacrifice a creature or take 5 damage?
Hoarding Dragon?
Demanding Dragon?
Demanding Dragon. Yeah, I actually considered Demanding Dragon in the Doom Whisperer spot, but I really just wanted to try out Doom Whisperer since it has no drawback. It's a 5-mana 6/6 flying trample with upside. Like, that's crazy to me.
I think it is a good card. I'm going to go to 18.
Okay.
And play a Branch Walker. What's the result?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hinterland Harbor.
Okay, so you have a Harbor in hand.
Yep.
We are going to play a Legion War Boss, and I'm going to create a Cedric Phillips and attack you for 1. Now, this is the part of the deck that I really want to explore, was
17.
Using Legion War Boss a lot like we used to use Rabble Master as this early threat that if your opponent didn't deal with it, they could just die.
Get your mana. Yeah, that doesn't feel good.
No. Let's see, we'll get another red, I guess. I guess we have plenty of red and plenty of black. All right.
Well, I didn't know you had that card. I think I saw you mill it
yeah,
over.
I milled over.
I wasn't
game.
thinking about it though.
Now there is some tension between War Boss and Dragon's Horde, so there's a chance that Dragon's Horde just not be in my deck. But
Go.
attacking, no attacks, no attacks, no blocks. Okay, I will play a 5-mana 6/6 flying trample, and if you try to kill it, I'll just basically demonic tutor. Your turn.
You have to pay life though, right?
Oh yeah, pay 2 lives for Veil too.
Go.
All right, I'm gonna go to my upkeep. Before I draw, I'm gonna surveil 2. I'm gonna go to 18.
Sure.
We're just trying to find like Nicol Bolas or protecting spells. All right, put this. Keep this. I'll draw this.
We forgot the untap part of Assassin's Trophy again.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not. I couldn't use the mana anyway.
Yeah, it's always at end of turn.
All right. Smush you for 6.
Yep.
You're at 11.
Yep.
Your turn.
I'll go to 9.
All right. So you're a 9. Draw a card.
Oh no.
I mean, if you can beat it, that's what I'm saying. I think Doom Whisperer is nuts.
All right.
This card just seems so big.
And ooh.
Yeah, and he ran me right to it, and that's also another great reason why Legion War Boss, it basically forces their hand to use their Assassin's Trophy, which I like too. Normally with like a Path to Exile, you could wait till your opponent's upkeep. They don't get access to that mana, but as our lovely director Robert has already pointed out, it does come in untapped. So even if he waits until my turn to do it, I can still cast the Giant Demon that turn. Oh, here comes back in Ravenous Chupacabras.
I think so.
Yeah, it's probably good on the play.
Yeah.
I left in my Essence Scatters in order to help fend against that.
Right.
Yeah, he needs the freebie. He needs it. He can't lose the first ever live version video.
Nope.
Is there anything I want to bring in? Let's take a peek.
All right.
like cast down, but whatever. Oh yeah. See, Sam Black had this. He kind of came at me on Twitter about Assassin Trophy. He's like, "What? You didn't think Path to Exile was good when it was in Standard?" It's like, of course it was good when it was in Standard, but it still has a pretty significant downside that, it's kind of on display in that game. He just ran me right into my 5-drop.
Oh yeah, no, that was disgusting.
Dr. Medford had a question. What do both of you think will be the best 2-color combination?
Oh,
all right, that's what I'm gonna do.
We're gonna need a little more time to see the rest of the set before we make that decision. I mean, I think Izzet has some inherent problems.
It always does, right?
Yeah, I mean, just large creatures just don't die to burn spells, and that's fairly problematic. So I don't think it's gonna be Izzet. I think as long as black and green and the abilities involved in the graveyard recursion. I think black-green could be the best 2-color combination. I don't think many decks will just be black-green because it's so easy to splash another color. Mm-hmm. But I think black and green is going to get a lot of these really good, grindy effects that a lot of decks are just going to have trouble with. All right. I'll save you some time. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan mine.
You're going to mulligan
all of my lands have for black and red, and my only spell besides Dragon's Horde was a Dream Eater. So I need to draw another blue card, or blue land, to cast my only spell in my opening.
Final game. Uh-oh. Okay, never mind. We're good.
Yeah, okay.
Keep.
Okay.
Brad, could you show it to the camera again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Please, interaction. Thank you with the audience. They need to see what's going on.
Seems like a good keep against a mulligan.
Just going to pick my hand apart, I'm sure. 3... 6. You know what? This hand is bad, but knowing the matchup, I think we have to keep it. Okay, we got to land on top.
Yep.
Let's go with this.
Branch Walker?
I'm going to leap with this one. I'm sorry.
Oh, card advantage.
You got a swamp?
Yeah, your turn.
Go. This is the game where I get run over. 18 me.
Yep. Rejuvenator.
Yep. Ramping it up.
More card advantage. Your turn.
We didn't draw it. Your turn.
Ooh.
Well, actually, I should probably just do this to you and surveil because I need to find land.
Okay. I don't know why.
What you got? So you got Thought Eraser of your own. Don't care about that. I think Jadelight Ranger, Disdainful Stroke. My hand is pretty cheap. And we need to draw lands to do much of anything. So I think I just need to keep pressure off me. I'm just going to take this. Your turn.
Good.
Yeah.
You surveil.
I already put the Dream Eater in the graveyard. Already surveilled.
Oh, okay.
I knew it was either land or in the graveyard. There's... Oh, maybe I should have let you have that so you couldn't cast your 2-mana spell this turn too. That's also something to consider, for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to... I also could have surveilled to try to guarantee hit a land first.
Yeah.
That was probably bad.
All right, I got a bunch of good cards. So you discard and then surveil, by the way, so you don't get to know what it is.
Oh, okay.
So I messed up, but I mean, you just have to just follow the order on the card. It matters a lot for Dream Eater. It matters a lot for Thought Eraser.
Yeah, negate. Thought.
I'll just play it face up. You don't have to write it down.
No, I don't like that. Just gets worse, like for the viewers.
Maybe.
Nickel, Dragon's Horde, and Goblin thing.
Legion Warboss.
And you bottomed, so
I did bottom.
All right, I think I'm going to take your. I think I'm going to take the Rabble Master, the Legion.
Yep.
I think that just is the most annoying card.
All right, I'll
Which
take
15.
3. Yep, 15. You're still at 20.
And then I'm going to keep on top.
Okay, draw. That's a tilt. These counter spells are just not good when you're behind on the battlefield, and that's one of the advantages of playing green over Grixis. He just has a lot of these cheap things. I guess. How do we get out of this? I think it's just Disdainful Stroke. I'm just gonna take Stroke. Surveil, graveyard.
Brad, Captain Redstorm asked, did you consider Reign of Notions for this deck?
I don't know what Rain of Oceans is.
It is the Read the Bones with Surveil.
I did. I definitely did think about that card. I just, it would have been like maybe a sideboard card. I do think that card is playable. I just don't know how many effects I want like that, like Jade Lights and that. Like you need to have interaction. In your deck.
It's also important that you personally are just like, your creatures are doing a lot of that card drawing. You know, I'm at 9.
9 to 18. Your turn.
All right, that's a tilt. Yeah, so I'm just getting buried on all fronts here. The creatures are putting enough pressure on me and I don't have removal spells in my deck. We missed land drops
16.
early, but that's just going to happen sometimes in a deck like
16
this.
down to 14. Attack you down to 3.
Yep.
And your turn.
I don't have Fiery Cannonade, so I'm done. Okay.
All
right. So normally this would be where we cut and then we come back and talk about the end, but I forgot it was live for a second. So
yeah, it is.
It's weird.
It's strange. I feel like we're just going to get better at it as it goes because, I mean, we've been at these versus videos for 6 years now.
Yeah.
And it's, high tide or high time for a change. And, but it's going to take a little getting used to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, being live, especially because whenever I do something live to an audience Magic related, it's known, right? Like you either click the stream button at home or you're like in the booth on the SCG tour. So like, that what you're getting into, but here, this is my home of just sitting around playing Magic in front of the cameras. It's been a little unique. Like I'm thinking through my lines and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, here's a question. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of people like listening and talking to us. But yeah, I think like we didn't showcase a lot, but we did like a lot of things that we wanted to see, like the mid-range battles, and maybe they won't come up as much as I thought they would, but I think they will. Like the big thing to keep in mind is this is literal day one of us playing with these cards. And the point that I'm trying to make is even come time for Pro Tours, when I'm playing Pro Tours of New Standard, one of the most interesting things about the format is at that time is things are a little wonky. Like they're playing a deck you're not really familiar with, the removal's not lining up, and that's going to happen even right away as we start playing with these cards. Yep. Like like I had a bunch of Eldritch Reborns in my hand and you played a Goblin and then you played something too fast and then you had a token, and like maybe if you thought about it, like trading might not be good, except you knew you had everything. But if you didn't have the negates, you might have just played it and kept the token back. I don't know
to play around Eldritch Reborn because you would have traded there 100%.
Yes. Yeah. And so like things of that nature, like it's interesting. Like we have to get used to and figure out the right numbers, and things eventually will get to a spot in a month or two where we know what's the best cards to play and we know how to interact with them. So the numbers and stuff of that nature. But at the beginning, it doesn't work like that.
No, one of the parts that I really liked about the game 3, even though it was kind of a bad game just because the mana issues, but even if I'd hit my land drops, the way your hand was set up, like let's say I hit lands 2, 3, and 4, and they all came in untapped. You were going to just literally pick every piece of that apart with Disdainful Stroke, Thought Erasure. You even had Vraska's Contempt and Ravenous Chupacabra in hand. And while I'm playing these creatures that just get traded 1 for 1 or sometimes 2 for 1, you also have these little creatures in play that are just chipping me away. And spot removal is not good against them because every single one of them ends up finding you either a land or filtering your draw.
There's X amount of value that comes with each one.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that a deck like mine is not really well equipped to handle. And even though our decks are fairly similar in what they're trying to do, where we kind of jockey early for position on the battlefield, your deck, I think, just the fact that you have all these Jade Light Rangers and things of that nature means that you're just inherently advantaged against a deck like this. And I don't know if there's a lot I can do about it. Because even if I had brought in, let's say, Eldritch Reborn, like that was a card we talked a lot about. Yeah. Sack your 3-mana 1/1? Like who cares? You discard your 7th land that you found off Jade Light Ranger.
One of the reasons I put it in the deck is specifically for that reason, that you can like hit a land to accelerate you, but also you played something early that can protect you from opposing Eldritch Reborns, but also get you to the mana to start playing your high impact cards. And that's the one thing about these little creatures is Merfolk Branchwalker and Jade Light Ranger and Thought Erasure are all there to make sure that you hit some level of consistency in most games, while also building a board presence and interacting with your opponent. and that should allow you to not get stuck on lands. Make sure you hit 4 mana to interact with their big 4-drops.
Yep.
And
Yeah, but I mean, I have access to Fiery Cannonade. That's a card that I actually thought about bringing in just as a way to clean up these little doofuses or whatever. But
that's just not the game you want to play.
Yeah, it's just not good enough. I mean, even if I had it right there, you had an Argyle's Bloodfast. Like, you were just going to bury me in card advantage. And, and maybe Bloodfast is a card I should also be playing. But I clearly didn't have enough time to do that.
No,
like, your deck just seemed like it was very well geared to not only use all your mana every turn, you're good at trading 1-for-1, which I think is going to be really important in this metagame. And your top end was just Vraska. And Vraska is just nuts. Or Carnage Tyrant after sideboard, which is also just nuts. And against decks like Grixis or Blue-White Control or decks with a lot of counterspells. Like, it just
Todd, I just want you to know, this is how us Golgari mages feel all the time.
I know.
Everything feels great. You play these.
I play your decks all the time. I know.
No, I know. But no, like, this is like I'm thinking about like my good friend Eric. You know Eric.
Oh yeah.
And this is our magic. Like I was like thinking about playing blue-black mid at GP Richmond.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know, I haven't been winning much with him. Like, what if we had Vraska? And he's like, I'm in. Like, I don't even care if it's good. I'm just gonna play it.
I almost spit my water out. All right. Well, that's enough talk about our decks and the things we've done this week. We're gonna move to the Q&A portion of the live versus videos, where if you have any questions, Twitch chat, our good director Robert will throw some at us. You got any on Q for us just yet?
Yeah, one we've kind of had since the beginning. I think Herkaiba asked this was, how do you feel Assassin's Trophy is going to affect older formats?
Oh, well, that's I don't want to get too deep into that because that's just going to be the focus point for a lot of articles that we're going to be writing going forward for Modern and Legacy.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to really deduce because like a lot of people think it's going to make Jund a playable deck again because it gives it a way to compete with Tron.
Playable deck again.
Shut up. Basically make it more competitive in this hostile Modern environment because there's a lot of decks in Modern right now that really put the screws to Black Green X. And a lot of them, if they're land based, whether it's Tron or whatever, like having this card that can deal with any permanent is pretty important. Like the Jeskai decks kind of bury Jund on occasion with Jace the Mind Sculptor, Teferi, just the game's going super long and grindy. And I mean, it's going to help, but you still give them a land. And that's important to remember.
It's giant. And so here's my spiel about Jund in Modern. Right now, if you look at the metagame, the top of the metagame is humans, blue-white control / Jeskai, Storm, KCI, Tron, and I consider that the above all tier 1 metagame.
Yep.
And so it's a couple combo decks, but it doesn't matter. Like, first, this Assassin's Trophy isn't better than Ancient Card against KCI, and that deck already gets just embarrassed by KCI. It's just a really bad matchup. Even though you have a bunch of artifact hate, and the rest of the field, it's not that great of a deck. And the same Marduk's having the same suffer because Mardu was a deck that was great against creature decks and mid-range decks.
Yep.
Where Jund is supposed to be a deck that's good against creature decks and combo decks.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what it was good against. And back when Jund was good, it preyed on Splinter Twin.
Yes.
And so once Splinter Twin got removed, there was nothing for Jund to prey on. And Jund is not the deck that has the power to evolve with a format. Like, look at how Storm has evolved or stuff of that nature. Control decks.
Even Tron went from like green-red, and then went black-green, and now it's mono-green. And
Tron did not evolve.
No, dude, it went from like splashing Fatal Push to splashing to just playing like a ton of Walking Ballistas. And like Walking Ballista adds a lot to that deck.
My brother did really well at the last Team GP with it. And he took all the Wormcoils out for the team tournament and just played 4 Walking Ballistas.
Gas.
Yeah.
Wormcoil sucks.
Yeah, he did.
It's only good against Jund and Mardu, and those just are not good against you. And they're just not that good against you.
Yeah, so we're getting a little off topic about Assassin's Trophy in general, but it might help the deck slightly, but it's still like Jund has just such a hole in the format of competing against these decks.
Yeah. I mean, I could see like an evolution of Jund, for example, that tries to be like way more hitting you on multiple fronts, like main deck Fulminator Mages. I know you've played that in the past, and that may be in conjunction with Assassin's Trophy and ways to recur the Fulminator Mages could be enough to give you the leg up. But like that plan is just not good against like Arcline Ironmarks. Like
Yeah,
killing their lands doesn't do much because they have
or
a million
humans.
card draws. Yeah, and Fulminator Mage is pretty bad against humans because they have Noble Hierarch and Aether Vial.
Yeah.
So it's you have to, every time you add a new card that is good against Tron, you're making your deck worse against everything else.
Yes, and so I mean, it might be decent in the deck, but for the most part, I think it's just not going to be what the deck wants. And I still think Jund is a deck that you can play and get some wins with, but it's not the most competitive thing. But like, I mean, Reed Duke was playing Obzon. Like, people that play Tarmogoyf and Thoughtseize just like to play. They want to play it, and it just happens. I broke free.
All right,
I broke free.
All right, what we got on the docket next, Mr. Robert?
Malaxi would like to know what, in your mind, is the current front runner for an aggro deck.
Like I said, we're only like 58 cards deep or whatever into Guilds of Ravnica. There could still be a ton of Boros aggressive cards printed. There could be a ton of just mono red cards printed.
I think Goblins has the highest chance because so this is a little like behind the curtains theory of how Wizards operates. So let's just say before there were blocks. Now we're in like single sets or whatever. But so let's just break Standard into each year into two parts, A and B, and then the second year is C and D. I know, but what I'm saying is
too much.
Well, what I'm saying is they usually give some tribes something like the B portion will have like zombies, and then the D portion will have zombies, and they exist for 6 months and do that. It looks like that's where Goblins is going because Goblins, we just had a bunch of Goblins that are good. There's a lot of old Onslaught legal Goblins now, and we're seeing some Goblin rares. And so I feel like Goblins has a good chance of being in the format.
Yeah, Legion Warboss, I think, is just going to be disgusting. Like, as a standalone card, Goblin Rabblemaster was more than good enough as just a win condition. And when you combine that with a bunch of really powerful Goblin tribal synergies, like the 4-mana one that Flame Tongue Kabu is one that comes into play, could end up being just like nutso. And like Goblins, it needs like another good one drop. Right now it has Prospector, and there's the one that just got printed that pumps itself and has the Mentor ability. That's a good start, but it needs like one more really good Goblin, I think, to push it forward. But maybe not. Maybe it's just good enough as is what we have now. I like the fact that the Goblin deck can go really big with Siege Gang Commander, just throwing a ton of damage at the face. And if you get a bunch of tokens with Goblin Warboss and a Skirt Prospector,
really good standard card. What is it called? I can't for the life of me. I can't think of it. That standard card, the Goblin. That's really good.
Goblin War Chief, all of Siege Gang Commander.
It's been played for like the last year. Everyone complains about it. It's really good.
What's it do? Of course, Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yeah.
The card's obviously insane against other aggro decks, and is one of the reasons why the red-black aggro deck was the front runner for aggro decks in the format. And slowly, that's been evolving, and people have been moving more towards mid-range, but still playing it because it punishes people for playing Glency Siphoner, Bomat Courier, and any other like powerful 1 or 2 drop that could get under it.
Getting into that, Barboza had a question. Do you guys think that a green-white mid-range or tokens deck will be able to exist with Chain Whirler in the format?
No.
It depends on how much Chain Whirler exists, and it depends on what the deck can do. But yeah, like there's that Convoke card that puts a bunch of 1/1s into play.
Great.
Yeah.
And that's like a mythic rare too, I believe.
I think it's just rare.
Maybe it's just rare, but I honestly hate Goblin Chain Whirler with a passion. So I'm just gonna say it's gonna be really oppressive, and also hopefully it gets banned.
Also, for the most
Probably
part,
not, though.
token synergizing to create tokens like Selesnya. That aspect of Selesnya is a very great like Convoke and stuff like that is a very great limited mechanic. It never really got pushed to standard. Like Court of Calling was always one of the good ones.
Right.
But like playing creatures that then make other creature generation cheaper and stuff like that really falls apart if they just kill your 2-drop, and then everything gets slower and clunkier, and the effect isn't as powerful. So I tend to stay away from token synergies in standard that are based around like Ravnica, Selesnya. It sometimes could be good, but usually the Selesnya decks that come out are the ones that just combine all the powerful creatures, and the 1 or 2 Convoke spells like Conclave, whatever it was that we played in the second video.
Tribunal.
Yeah,
the Banishing Light.
That's the payoff card for Convoke. Convoke, you want your Convoke cards to be a big effect that can be cast without Convoke, but that also do their thing and do it well when you actually Convoke them.
Yeah, I mean, when your deck is running on all cylinders, having a big X Convoke spell, like Court of Calling is the exception because, it's just going to be busted in a format with a bunch of
game, yeah.
Right. But when your big Convoke spell is make a bunch of creatures, which you should have a bunch of creatures in play already, like that's not going to help you against Settle the Wreckage. That's not going to help you more than a turn's worth against like Goblin Chainwhirler. And if you start having to play ways to pump all your guys, to protect against Chainwhirler, I think that's just going to dilute your deck, and like it's just not going to be that good. Like you can play Radiant Destiny and name Soldier, right? And then I think it makes 1/1 lifelink soldiers, and then yes, they don't die to Chainwhirler, but you're also taking this turn off to play Radiant Destiny, and then like what is it actually doing?
Yeah, that's the issue with Standard forever, and just the hyper synergistic decks aren't good enough. Like,
they just get picked apart.
Yes.
Like you kill the one piece and then the other piece is worthless, or like you just you try to find that other piece to go off, and they're just like, all right, here's 5-mana mythic rare that it's going to kill you in 2 turns.
Yeah, pretty much. If there is a synergistic deck like that, it would look like Mono Blue Devotion did, where once you put the pieces together, you're like, wow, this is good.
Yeah, I mean, Master of Waves was an all-star. Like, you didn't really need to do anything to make it busted.
But that's what I'm saying, is it comes out right away. It's not going to be this, like, I'm going to take it into my lab and tinker and tinker and tinker and tinker. I mean, they're fun and they're enjoyable decks, but at the highest level of competition, there's duress and negate in this format. Like, cards like that just...
Yeah. All right, hit me.
All right. Do you think that mono green Stompy will still be a deck? McBriar 01.
Absolutely. The Rampaging Ferox, I think, is going to be... Like, obviously, you don't have Blossoming Defense. That was a great card for helping protect against things like Vraska's Contempt and cheap removal. We're also losing Heart of Kirin, all the vehicles that kind of made the Galta like one of the more powerful cards. But we still have Steely Paladin. We still have the 2-mana 2/3 that when you target it, you get a 1/1. We still have Llanowar Elves, and we're just going to get more stuff for the deck that might be able to replace it. I mean, I think Rampaging, I just said the name of it.
Ferox.
Rampaging Ferox, I think is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. There's a reason it has Mythic attached to it, and if you don't have a lot of non-creature spells in your deck, it's just a 4-mana 6/6 that your opponent has to pay 2 extra mana to kill.
Yep. So here's my hot take from the earlier throwback. You wait a couple weeks or whatever, and these cards are gonna drop in price, like Rampaging Ferox, and you just, and this is my actual true like real guild. You grab all of these creatures. You grab the Alpha Ragosaurs, the dinosaur,
The 5-mana uncommon.
Yeah. The rare, the 4/4. The Alpha Regisaur, is that what it's called?
Regisaur. Oh, yeah,
Regisaur.
the one that gives all your dinosaurs haste.
And it gets a 3/3. And you grab all these big creatures and you get them cheap, and you just, you get them all ready. Because once Stomping Ground comes out, things are gonna get messed up.
That's true.
Yeah, you just grab them all in a month or two. Yeah, because like right now, if you look at the guilds that are out right now, they're not giving, you really have to just go with
Bide your time.
Well, yeah, you have to go with the guilds on the first set of Ravnica each time. We've seen it every time.
Yep.
And this is the third time we've had this where X amount of guilds come out first, and it's just really hard to compete with them. Their mana's better, their spells are better, right? Because they're getting the multicolored awesome cards.
Multicolored
and you're not.
Cards are usually way more powerful than single color cards anyway.
Yes.
And you don't have your guild's multicolored cards. Like Blue-White Control could be bananas. Like we don't have Sphinx's Revelation.
Yeah, we don't have Azura's Charm.
We don't even have Hallowed Fountain.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So like things will change once we get access to that. But that is a great point.
Yeah, you just wait for Stomping Ground. And you just play black green and you kill things and you play these grinding games and then you'll get bide your time, grab those Stomping Grounds, and you're just gonna burn them in the face. Trust me, we're gonna be like smacking people in the face for like 6 and Banefiring them eventually. It's gonna happen.
Oh no, you come up for a hot draft, Banefire you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, one more. Let's do one more.
Daniel from Brazil wants to know your opinion on the new Vraska.
So I think the new Vraska has the potential to be a very good Magic card. I don't know if it's going to be a very good standard Magic card. Like 4-mana Planeswalkers have to do something kind of busted, I think.
Well, it does do something immediately. It kills something immediately.
It kills a small thing immediately, and when you're on the plate, that's a huge swing.
Yep.
And if you're able to clear like their first thing, and then Vraska clears their second thing, and you get to untap with a Planeswalker, as long as you have the tools to utilize the plus to like actually, you don't mind sacrificing something to draw a card, it's going to be good. I just don't know. Like, we don't have all of the information yet from the set, and Vraska is definitely a card where you need like the Elvish Visionaries. You need like I don't even, the one you played that ramps. I think that one's pretty
Elvish
good.
Rejuvenator.
Elvish Rejuvenator seems like a
I
fine
have not
addition
heard
to
a
the deck.
single person talk about that card in Standard, and the first time I saw it, I'm like, I want to play that card.
No, it looks
I had
good.
to wait for today to bring it out, but like, I thought that card looked great.
It looks pretty crap against Goblin Chainwhirler. Like, it's still just a
Got me a land.
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah, Siphoner doesn't do that
3-mana
all the
rampant
time.
growth.
I
That's
play
true.
Siphoner, it
That's
just
true.
dies. Like,
All right, let's do one more. That one was quick.
whoa, I can make it longer.
No, please don't.
I could talk about how I think that Vraska found a crown. That's the relic she was seeking,
She was seeking the immortal sun.
which was a crown that she put on and then became the Queen of Golgari. That's the story.
Okay, so
last one.
Martian asked, are there enough cards that put stuff in the grave to try to focus on undergrowth cards?
Not yet, but there could be. Like, the enablers haven't been printed or haven't been previewed yet, and a lot of times the commons and uncommons are all previewed like the day before the full set comes out, or the day the actual full set comes out.
Yeah, that. I do think that Undergrowth has some really cool cards. I even think, like, I don't know all the names, but there's a guild double cycle of 4-drops.
Yes.
And just being able to return any permanent to your hand for a 3/4 body seems great. And I also think that I don't remember, Izod the Thousand-Eyed.
Yeah. The Ishkanah, basically.
Yes, I think
That card's awesome.
Yeah, and you're thinking too small. Like, I think that card could be good in Standard, but you're thinking too small if you're trying to kill him with the first one you cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to keep bringing them and growing and getting a bunch more tokens and getting a bunch more tokens. And eventually...
I mean, it was never the first Ishkanah Graph Widow that killed you. It was the third.
Well, this card is not Ishkanah.
It's not. I don't want to say that, but it's similar in what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to extend the game longer by playing a card like this, because like the first one's usually going to create 2, maybe 4 1/1s, and then those are going to trade off with some stuff, and then you're either going to have some card that can bring it back to your hand, like the 4-drop that you were talking about, and then you're going to cast it again, or you're just going to find a second one, and the second one's going to make 6, 8 tokens, and then it just the second one's always better than the first one, because it just means the game has progressed longer.
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind too, looking at like Undergrowth, Vraska, Golgari Queen strategies, if it's degenerate, if Wizard starts pumping out mythics and awesome cards, and it's just we have like what's it called, Unbarrel Rights, and we have all these Crater Hoofs and like all these crazy cards that they print, then you can consider like Stitcher Supplier, and a lot of people want that to be good, but I think it's fetch. I think it's not that good of a card.
No, I mean, I want Mulch. Like, that's the card that I want.
Well, we have one effect that I think is standard playable. Is Dusk Legion Zealot.
Yeah, that's the Elvish Visionary that deals you one.
I think that card is good. It works with it blocks and protects, or it can be sacked to her. Elvish Visionary is also a card that you can use because you can accelerate, and then around that time, one of the benefits of Elvish Visionary is that when you play against it, they'll eventually run out of stuff to do with it. Mm. And if you can deal with all of those things, the elf doesn't mean anything, but it can just be, replaced by another card with the queen. So I think Elvish Visionary and the creatures that I was casting today are the cards that you can start with for Vraska Queen deck. But honestly, like, I think Relic Seeker is just a much more powerful card. It's a standalone card. It can win the game all by itself, and that's the kind of effects that are usually good in Standard, because if you start trying to do graveyard interaction, guess what? I have them in this last deck sideboard, if you look, but I had Deathgorge Scavenger and the Pirate, the 1-drop. Dead something.
Dead-Eye Navigator?
Dead-Eye Navigator.
Yeah. I mean, there's also that. There's also Silent Gravestone. Like, are Silent Gravestones illegal? I don't even remember.
Yes,
I think
it's
so.
from Ixalan,
That's what I thought,
but that'll protect your deck from targeted effects.
That's true.
Yeah,
From
that's how
targeted
those
effects.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but I agree that like there is merit to playing these powerful cards that can win the game by themselves. Vraska has shown time and time again that as long as you don't lose her that turn, or your opponent doesn't kill you on the next turn, she will almost always take over the game,
Yep.
either by taking care of the most problematic permanent on the other side of the battlefield, or just by generating a bunch of 2/2s and having a gigantic starting loyalty. Like
Yeah.
when I'm playing the Izzet decks and you played a Vraska, I don't have Vraska's Contempt. I'm gonna die. Like it's just gonna beat me. And you could argue, yeah, the Grixis deck should just be playing Vraska's Contempt, but that's just the evolution that the deck is gonna have to take in order to compete against known quantities.
Yeah, and until we know what control decks can actually win with, besides Chromium as an Esper variant of a win condition, it does seem like it's going to be a grind format, which is good because we don't want another turn trigger hook. We don't want control to be so defined.
Right.
I don't mind a lot of mid-range and competing in that space because the decks evolve fast when that happens, right? Like even like back when you had fetch dual mana bases, like the decks were evolving really fast. It's like Obzon and then Jessica's like, I'm gonna splash, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna splash.
Yeah.
And things just kind of got crazy.
Yeah, and there's also a lot to be said. We've had this type of mana base before. This is not a new way to build mana bases. Like there was when Grixis Ain't Trapped was legal, and then we went to Return to Ravnica. I was able to use shock lands plus the buddy lands like the Sulfur Falls and such to just have like a pretty sweet mana base. But once we get access to all of them, like basically every 3-color combination is going to be very easy to build because you're just going to have great land. Like you'll take some shock land damage, but all your lands are going to come to play untapped, which is insane. And once we get access to all that, things are just going to be like 3-color, the best spells of each color, all battling it out. The
aggressive decks might be 2-color.
Yeah, the aggressive decks could be 1 or 2 colors,
Usually they're 1 or 2.
Yeah, and I mean, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I don't know. That's all I got.
Yeah. Any crazy ones after that, or we good?
I already said last one.
Well, I didn't say last one for me.
All right,
I get one last
Brad gets
one.
one more. If anyone has a specific for Brad question, feel free, because I'm done. I'm tapped.
All right. Well, here's
Well,
one.
this is from Bard Narson. How does it feel to be taught week after week after week? It feels really good. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Wait, where'd that come from?
It's from Bard Narson.
Yeah.
Okay. Just pick one at random.
Nah, we'll end it. Anyone that was writing your questions, too late.
Yeah, you're too late.
Thank you
We
for
waited.
joining us in our first live versus video. I hope you enjoyed it. Send us feedback on Twitter. That's the easiest way to get in contact with us. Or find Cedric's email. Can I just say it out loud?
What are your Twitter handles?
Ooh, I am FFFreakMTG.
Yes.
I haven't looked at that in a while.
And I'm strong_sad. Anyway, that's all for me. I'm Todd Anderson. That's Brad Nelson. This has been the first ever live versus series. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next week live again.